All right, this is section 2.1 over congruent figures. And so we need to talk about what congruent figures are. Congruent figures have the same shape and the same size. So basically that means they are exactly the same. They're exact copies of one another. You can see from these two triangles here on the left side that even though one triangle has been rotated a little bit, they're still exact copies of each other. All the dimensions are the same shape, same size. Whereas if they're not congruent, they could be different shapes, or actually in this picture you can see they're the same shape but they have different size. And so we have another name for this. This is called similar. If shapes have the same shape but a different size, we call them similar. And that means even though the angles are all the same, the side lengths are proportional. So we'll get into that later, but we're going to start with congruent figures, which have the same angle measures and the same side lengths. So we actually call those corresponding sides and corresponding angles. So in congruent figures, corresponding sides and corresponding angles are equal. So we can see from this diagram what exactly the word corresponding means. Basically, they use the word matching. It's really the same side length on the other shape, or maybe it's the same angle measure on the other shape. In this particular group of triangles, angle B is corresponding to angle E because they have the same angle measure. And you could say that side length AC, or segment AC, corresponds to segment DF. They have the same measure. AC does not have the same measure as DE, but AC does have the same measure as DF because those are the corresponding sides. Now you could say side AB corresponds to DE, which means they're equal, and that's true. And they actually use different colors to show you which of the ones are corresponding. So you can see the red with the red, the blue with the blue, and the green with the green. So let's look at this set of trapezoids. The figures are congruent. Name the corresponding angles and the corresponding sides. So in trapezoid ABCD, we know that angle A is going to correspond with angle W, and so we use an angle symbol for that. Just looks like an angle. And so that means they're congruent. And this little squiggly line right here means congruent. It's like an equal sign with a little squiggly above it, and it means that they have equal measure. And so then angle B is going to correspond with angle X. Angle C is going to correspond with angle Y. And angle D is going to correspond with angle Z. Segment, this little bar on top of these two, means segment. Okay, segment AB corresponds with segment WX. Segment BC is going to correspond with segment XY. Segment CD is going to correspond with segment YZ. And segment DA is going to correspond with segment ZW. There we go. So you might be wondering at this time, why don't we just use an equal sign? Why is it so important that we use a congruent symbol? And so this all stems back to ancient mathematics. Back when these ancient cultures, the Roman and Greek cultures, were ruling the world, it didn't make sense to say that a line was equal to another line. The only things that could be equal were numbers. Numbers could be equal, but in the way they thought of things, you couldn't say that a side length was equal to a side length, or an angle was equal to an angle, or a certain height was equal to a height. So they used the congruent symbol, which meant that they were the same measure. So congruent means equal measure. So when we use when we talk a lot about congruent shapes in geometry especially, we'll use the congruent symbol because in geometry we're always talking about measures and not just numbers, like in algebra. All right, that leads me to the next topic, which is congruent statements. And so a congruent statement is basically a statement that says these two shapes are congruent, but there's a certain way you have to write them. So I'm looking at two different triangles here, and we have a symbol for that. We can just put a triangle symbol. And we're going to say they are congruent, so we're going to use our congruent symbol. And so I can list these triangles however I want to. A, B, C, BCA, CAB, CBA. But however I list the first triangle, let's say I want to be a rebel and go backwards, CBA, I have to list the second triangle in the same fashion. So whatever angle measure is congruent to angle C, which is F, I have to start with that one because I started with it on the previous triangle. Whoops. So it would be triangle F, and then I went to B, which is congruent with angle E, and then I went to A, which is congruent with angle D. So that's one way I could write a congruent statement. I could also say triangle, most people would probably just go ABC, and if you go triangle ABC, then you could say it's congruent with triangle DEF. Because A is congruent with D still, you can see how they match up in both congruent statements. You can see A and D are both the first listed. So they have to match up. You have to, whatever one you put second has to match with the corresponding angle that you put second in the next triangle. So the reason that congruent statements are so important is because a lot of times, and we're going to get into this later in this chapter, the shapes have been translated, they've been rotated, they've been reflected, and we need to make sure we know which angles match up with the other corresponding angles. And if you match up the angles, you'll match up the corresponding sides. So in this particular group, we have pentagons. So we'll say that pentagon, I guess we don't have a little symbol for that, so we can just abbreviate pentagon. And then I can go around and I'll just start at J, K, L, M, N. When I'm doing this, it's very important that I don't skip around. If I start at J, which I did, I can go either this direction or I can go this direction, but I have to go clockwise or counterclockwise. I can't just say J, L, N, K, M. I can't do that because I have to go from one angle to a angle that I guess is next to or adjacent to the other angle I started with. So I can't do that. So I went this direction, J to K. And then if I do that, I can put my congruent symbol, I can put pentagon, abbreviate that, and then now I've got my other ones. Now, I'm going to use, I guess common sense here would say these have been reflected over this line, right? So I know that J should match up with S. And so I'm going to start by putting S. And then I went to K, which would be the same as going up here to R. You can see these two angles. I'll do this in a different color. These two angles are the same. So I know S matches up with R. And then I can just keep going. Q, V, and T. That's not the only way I could write this, but it's one way that works. There's many different ways you could write a congruent statement. But you can't just pick any letter you want to and then just pick any letter on the other shape. You have to match up the corresponding angles. Therefore, the corresponding sides will match up. So for example, if I look at side length in M, it's this bottom one, this flat one here, that actually corresponds with, over on the other shape, VT. And so if I match up the angles, the side lengths will also match up. All right, let's test your understanding of the word congruent then. It says, which square is congruent to square A? Well, square B has the same shape. It's still a square, but it's got a different size. So that would mean that these two shapes are similar. So it cannot be square A, or square B, I'm sorry. It cannot be square B. It's got to be square C. Now, square C has been rotated. It's still a square. It's been rotated a little bit, but it's still the same shape, and it's still the same size. So square C would be the same exact shape as square A. They would be congruent to each other. All right, let's look at these two trapezoids here. Trapezoid ABCD and trapezoid JKLM are congruent. So what does that tell us? Well, all the corresponding angles will be equal. All the corresponding sides will be equal. So it says, what is the length of segment JM? And so JM is the bottom segment on the second trapezoid right here. And we know that JM is going to correspond with AD. They made this really easy for you. It's not even been rotated or reflected. So if AD is 10, JM is also going to be 10 feet because the corresponding side lengths are equal. And it says, what is the perimeter of JKLM? Well, if all the corresponding side lengths are equal, then if the perimeter of trapezoid ABCD is 6 plus 8 plus 8 plus 10, which is 16 plus 16 is 32, then the perimeter of KLMJ is also, or JKLM, if I say it the same way, is also going to be 32 feet. Make sure we label. We're in a geometry unit, so we want to label everything. And then it says, which angle of JKLM corresponds to angle C? Angle C right up here, that's going to obviously be angle L, and I can use my angle symbol, angle L, for that one. And I'll leave you with this problem. I really do like this one. This is uses a little bit of more complex math. It says quadrilateral PQSR is congruent to quadrilateral WTUV. Find X, Y, and Z. So X is located over here on the left side of the shape. If I can get it to go away, here we go. X is right there. And then Y is located over here, and then Z is located right there. It's one of the angle measures. So these shapes have been rotated, and so we're going to have to be careful which angle and which side lengths we use. And so the best method of doing this so you don't make a mistake is just by using the congruence statement. So what I mean by that is if I want to find X, I need to know what RP is. And RP, you can see me highlighted in there, is going to correspond with WV. So if I go to WV, then I know it's right there. And so WV is 12, so I know X plus 5 equals 12, and that would make X, well, if you subtract 5, make X 7. Now for Y. Y is part of segment TW. So if I look at TW, that would be corresponding with QP, and QP is over here on the bottom, right there. So again, maybe you wouldn't have guessed it to be that side, but that's the side that we have here. And so I know 6Y, because they're corresponding and corresponding side lengths are equal, 6Y is going to equal 24, which makes Y equal to 4. And then for the last one here, Z is part of angle V. So if I look at angle V corresponds with angle R. And so I know corresponding angles are equal, so 11Z is going to equal the angle measure of angle R. Angle R is 132. So if you do 132 divided by 11, you'll get 12. So now we have the angle measure of Z. And we know X, Y, and Z are all equal to now. And we use the congruence statement up here to double check, make sure we are using the right numbers.